The gleaming silver spacecraft appeared in Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning in 2087. Global defense systems detected it instantly, but the vessel made no aggressive moves. Instead, it broadcast a simple message in perfect English: "We come to evaluate." Within hours, governments worldwide scrambled to form a response team. NASA engineer Diane Powell found herself pulled from her laboratory and thrust into an emergency meeting at the United Nations. Her groundbreaking work on quantum communications had caught someone's attention. "Ms. Powell, we need your expertise," said Frank Nelson, a veteran diplomat with salt and pepper hair and tired eyes. "This is our first alien contact. We can't afford mistakes." Diane nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. What do they want? To meet us, apparently. They've requested representatives at these coordinates. Frank pointed to a location in neutral international waters. "You'll join our small delegation. Your technical knowledge might prove useful." 3 days later, Diane stood on the deck of a naval vessel, watching the alien shuttle descend through clouds. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, defying Earth's physics. Frank stood beside her, along with 5 other specialists chosen from around the world. "Remember," Frank whispered, "we represent all of humanity now." The shuttle landed without a sound. A seam appeared in its smooth hull, widening into an entrance. 2 figures emerged, both humanoid but clearly not human. The taller one had bluish skin stretched tight over angular features. 4 eyes blinked independently at the humans. The smaller being resembled a feline crossed with a reptile, its movements graceful but unsettling. "I am Zex Vorel, Evaluation Officer of the Galactic Council," the tall being announced without moving its mouth. The words simply appeared in Diane's mind. "This is my aide, Krienks. We oversee admission of developing species." Frank stepped forward with practiced diplomacy. "We welcome you to Earth. I am Frank Nelson, and these are representatives of our world's nations and knowledge." Zex Vorel barely acknowledged the introduction. Instead, the alien produced a small device that projected holographic images of Earth cities, military bases, and environmental damage. "Your species has achieved basic space travel and rudimentary quantum theory," Zex Vorel stated. "Yet you remain divided by arbitrary borders and waste resources on internal conflicts." Diane felt a flush of embarrassment, as if humanity had been caught misbehaving. "We're working to overcome those challenges," she said. "Our technological progress is accelerating." The alien turned those 4 unsettling eyes toward her. "Every species claims exceptionalism, Engineer Powell. Few demonstrated." For 3 hours, the aliens questioned them about Earth's governance, technology, and cultural development. With each answer, Zex Vorel's posture seemed to grow more dismissive. Finally, the alien held up a hand. "Our evaluation is complete." Frank leaned forward expectantly. "And Earth remains too primitive for meaningful interaction with the Galactic Council. Your species requires significant evolution before reconsideration." Diane couldn't contain herself. "But we've achieved so much in just a century of modern technology. Surely that counts for something." Zex Vorel's aide made a sound like muffled laughter. The evaluation officer merely blinked 2 of its 4 eyes, apparently their version of irritation. "When you've moved beyond territorial squabbles and developed practical interstellar capabilities, you may contact us." Zex Vorel extended a data crystal. "These coordinates will reach Council headquarters. We recommend waiting at least 2 centuries before attempting communication." Before anyone could protest, the aliens retreated to their shuttle. Within minutes, they had departed Earth's atmosphere, leaving behind only the crystal and humanity's wounded pride. Back in Washington, the international team gathered to assess the encounter. "They dismissed us like children," Frank said, staring into his coffee cup. Diane turned the crystal between her fingers, studying its strange structure. "Then we'll just have to grow up faster than they expect." A quiet determination settled across the room. Earth had been judged and found wanting. But the story was far from over. 50 years passed since Earth's humiliating first contact. The crystal containing the Galactic Council's coordinates sat in a special vault beneath the United Nations building, a reminder of humanity's promise to itself. Dr. Alan Summers stood before the massive viewport of Europa Station, watching the distant sun glint off Jupiter's clouds. At 67, his hair had gone completely white, but his eyes still held the same intensity they had when he was a young physicist working on quantum theory. "Dr. Summers, the test is ready," said his assistant, Lily Chen. Alan nodded and turned away from the view. "Let's make history." In the testing chamber, a small unmanned craft waited. It contained Alan's life work, the quantum displacement drive. Unlike conventional engines that pushed against space, this technology folded space itself, allowing ships to step across vast distances. Counting down, Lily announced, 3, 2, 1, initiate. The test craft disappeared. 6 hours later, it reappeared exactly where planned, near Saturn's rings. The jubilant scientists could barely contain their excitement. Humanity had just developed its own version of faster-than-light travel, without any help from the Galactic Council. Admiral Olivia Martinez watched the celebration from the back of the room. As head of the United Earth Space Force, she understood the significance of this moment. "Dr. Summers," she said, approaching the scientist, "congratulations. How soon until we can scale this for larger vessels?" 3 years for a ship the size of your destroyers," he replied. "Maybe 5 for colony vessels." Olivia nodded. "Good. The Council thinks we need centuries. We'll prove them wrong much sooner." The Admiral had instituted a strict policy throughout human space: radio silence regarding all major developments. Earth would not broadcast its progress to the stars. The aliens had thought humans primitive. Let them continue thinking so. By 2110, Mars hosted 3 major cities beneath protective domes. Europa's underwater colony thrived around thermal vents. The asteroid belt housed mining operations that supplied Earth with more resources than its people had ever known. Jack Rivera, a construction worker on the new Ganymede base, often thought about how far humanity had come. His grandfather had told him stories about the alien visitors who had snubbed Earth. "Pass me that sealing compound," Jack called to his coworker, Ben Wilson. They were finishing the pressure doors for the colony's newest section. "Can you believe we're actually living out here?" Ben asked, handing over the tools. "My kids were born on Mars. They've never even been to Earth." Jack nodded. "And we've done it all ourselves. No help from those Council aliens." Across human space, similar conversations happened daily. Pride in human achievement, mixed with lingering resentment toward the Galactic Council. This combination fueled an unprecedented era of innovation. In secret facilities throughout the solar system, scientists developed technologies uniquely human. Without access to alien science, humans pursued paths the Council species might never have considered. President Gregory Barnes authorized the construction of the first deep space exploration vessels in 2130. These massive ships would extend human presence beyond the solar system. "We will not announce our arrival," he told Admiral Martinez during a private launch ceremony. "We will establish colonies quietly, build our strength, and only reveal ourselves when we can meet the Council as equals." The UES Discovery, humanity's first interstellar colony ship, slipped away from Earth orbit using stealth technology that absorbed rather than reflected scanning signals. Its quantum drive activated beyond Neptune, and the massive vessel disappeared into the darkness between stars. Over the next decade, human settlements appeared on habitable planets in nearby systems. Each colony established itself with the same principle: self-sufficiency and silence. When the first human outpost detected unusual signals from deeper in Council space in 2142, humanity had grown from a single-planet civilization to a thriving multi-system society, all without the Council's knowledge or approval. Earth was ready for the galactic stage. but on its own terms. Maria Reyes adjusted her headset as she monitored deep space communications at the listening post on Proxima Centauri b. As Earth's farthest outpost, this station served as humanity's early warning system for any activity from Galactic Council space. "I've got something weird here," Maria said, calling over her supervisor, Keith Bradley. "It's not the usual council chatter." Keith leaned over her console. "Boost the signal." The speakers crackled with frantic voices speaking an alien language. The translation software struggled to keep up, but certain phrases came through clearly. "Overwhelming force," "evacuate immediately," and "total system loss." Keith's face grew serious. "Record everything. I'm calling Director Walsh." Within hours, similar reports flooded in from other listening posts. Something terrible was happening in Council space. Peter Walsh, Director of Earth Intelligence, convened an emergency meeting in the underground command center beneath New Geneva. The room's walls displayed star maps with red markers spreading across Council territory. "Based on intercepted transmissions, we believe the Council is under attack from a previously unknown species," Peter explained to the assembled military and scientific leaders. "They call them the Scourge." He played a recording captured by one of Earth's stealth probes. The grainy footage showed a planet surrounded by strange crystalline ships. The vessels fired beams that seemed to drain color from everything they touched. Buildings crumbled. Plants withered. People fell where they stood. "From what we can piece together, these silicon-based life forms convert organic matter into energy to feed their hive consciousness," Peter continued. "Council weapons seem ineffective against them." Admiral Martinez studied the footage. "What's their heading? Any risk to human colonies?" "They're moving deeper into Council space for now," Peter replied. "But if they keep expanding, they'll eventually reach us." Dr. Clara Johnson, head of xenobiology, pointed to patterns in the Scourge ship's movements. "Look at how they coordinate. Perfect synchronization. I believe they operate with a shared mind, each unit connected to the whole." "A weakness we might exploit," Admiral Martinez noted. Earth's Parliament debated their response over the following weeks. Some argued for immediate contact with the Council to offer assistance. Others wanted to remain hidden and build defenses. "We've spent 50 years preparing for our return to the galactic stage," said President Lauren Foster. "This isn't how I imagined it happening, but we need to protect our people first." In research facilities across human space, scientists studied the limited data on the Scourge. Dr. Ryan Garcia led a team analyzing the crystalline structures of the enemy ships. "Their technology operates on principles completely different from both ours and the Council's," Ryan explained during a briefing. "They use silicon quantum bonds to maintain their hive connection. If we could disrupt those bonds." His team worked tirelessly, developing prototypes for weapons that could interfere with the Scourge's collective consciousness. Meanwhile, Admiral Martinez ordered all human colonies to activate their cloaking systems and prepare for possible evacuation. At a mining outpost in the Ta-CD system, workers discovered a damaged Council scout ship drifting near their asteroid field. Inside, they found 3 injured aliens, the first direct contact between humans and Council species since the dismissive encounter decades ago. "They were barely alive," reported Dr. Susan Park, the outpost's medical officer. "But we've stabilized them using adapted medical protocols." The Council survivors, once recovered enough to communicate, revealed the true extent of the Scourge invasion. Half of the Council's core worlds had already fallen. Their mighty fleets lay scattered or destroyed. "The Scourge cannot be defeated with conventional weapons," one survivor explained through a translator. "They learn and adapt too quickly." Director Walsh forwarded this information to Earth's leadership, along with his recommendation. "We should prepare for the possibility that the Council may soon discover our advancement and development, and come begging for our help." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The same Council that had dismissed humanity as primitive might now need Earth to save them from extinction. A Council vessel limped into the outer edges of the Sol system in early 2145. Its hull showed massive damage, black scorch marks, and crystalline growths that Earth scientists immediately recognized as scourge technology. Space Defense Command detected the ship as it passed Neptune's orbit. "It's broadcasting on all frequencies," said Lieutenant Paul Harris at the monitoring station. "They're asking for permission to approach Earth." Admiral Martinez ordered all defensive systems to high alert. "Let them come, but have interceptors ready." The news spread quickly through Earth's government. President Samantha Rodriguez called an emergency meeting in the White House War Room. The large screen showed the approaching alien vessel surrounded by Earth's stealth fighters. "After 58 years of silence, they suddenly remember we exist," said Foreign Secretary Valerie Adams. "How convenient. Let's hear what they have to say before making judgments," President Rodriguez replied, though her tone suggested she shared the sentiment. The Council ship was escorted to Earth orbit. A small shuttle departed from it, heading toward the International Spaceport outside Washington, D.C. A crowd gathered behind security barriers, eager to witness this historic moment. Many remembered stories from their grandparents about the first dismissive contact. Others simply wanted to see real aliens. The shuttle landed smoothly on the designated pad. Security teams formed a perimeter as the door opened. 3 aliens emerged. The leader had the distinctive blue skin and 4 eyes of an Arcturian, the same species that had judged Earth unworthy decades earlier. Behind him came 2 other species, one with insect-like features, another resembling the humanoid plant. William Jenkins, Earth's top military strategist, watched the procession from behind mirrored glass. "The blue one looks familiar," he commented. "He should," replied Director Walsh, checking his tablet. "According to genetic records the Council survivors shared, that's Ambassador Crex Forel, son of the Zex Forel, who first visited Earth." Jenkins allowed himself a thin smile. Poetic. Inside the meeting chamber, President Rodriguez received the aliens with formal courtesy that carefully avoided warmth. "I am Crex Forel, Special Envoy of the Galactic Council," the Arcturian began. His mental voice projected the same haughty tone his father had used, though now tinged with desperation. "We require discussion of mutual defense matters." President Rodriguez nodded. "We've been monitoring the Scourge invasion. Your losses appear significant." Surprise flickered across the alien's 4 eyes. "You've been monitoring. Earth has continued to develop since your father's visit, Ambassador. We have interests beyond our solar system now." The plant-like alien leaned forward. "You have colonies, interstellar capabilities. We have many things you assumed we couldn't develop," President Rodriguez stated simply. "Now, please explain exactly what brings you to Earth after all this time." Crex Forel struggled visibly with his pride. "The Galactic Council faces an unprecedented threat. The Scourge has destroyed 17 core systems. Our conventional weapons prove ineffective. Our remaining fleets are scattered." "And you want our help?" asked Foreign Secretary Adams, after dismissing humanity as too primitive for meaningful interaction. "The situation has evolved," Crex Forel admitted reluctantly. "Initial assessments of Earth may have been premature." President Rodriguez let the silence stretch uncomfortably before responding. "I'll need to consult with Earth Parliament before making any decisions. In the meantime, you may remain in orbit under observation." After the aliens departed, the human leaders gathered in a secure room. "They're desperate," William Jenkins observed. "Their mighty council is collapsing, and suddenly we're worth talking to. The question is what we do about it," said President Rodriguez. "Do we help the people who rejected us, or do we let them face the Scourge alone? If the Scourge defeats the Council completely, they'll eventually reach our territories," Admiral Martinez pointed out. "Strategic self-interest suggests we should assist. But on our terms," added Secretary Adams. "This is our opportunity to reshape our relationship with the Council." President Rodriguez nodded. "Prepare our conditions. If they want Earth's help, They'll need to recognize what we've become in their absence. For 3 days, the Council delegation remained in orbit, while Earth's Parliament debated their response. Ambassador Krex Vorel sent increasingly urgent messages requesting updates, each one less haughty than the last. On the morning of the 4th day, President Rodriguez summoned the aliens back to Earth. This time, they met in the Grand Chamber of the United Earth Parliament in Geneva, with representatives from all human colonies present both physically and via hologram. "We have reached our decision," President Rodriguez announced as the aliens took their seats across the polished table. "Earth will assist the Galactic Council against the Scourge threat." Relief visibly washed over the alien delegates. The plant-like diplomat's leaves actually brightened in color. "However," continued Rodriguez, "we have conditions." She nodded to Foreign Secretary Adams, who activated a holographic display showing 3 clear terms. First, the Galactic Council will formally recognize humanity as equals, with all rights and privileges thereof, Adams explained. Second, Earth will receive a permanent seat on the Council with full voting authority. Third, the Council will provide Earth with complete access to all scientific and historical knowledge in your archives. Krex Vorel's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in what humans had learned was a sign of distress. These terms are unprecedented. New species typically undergo centuries of probationary status before. These are not typical circumstances, interrupted Admiral Martinez, speaking for the first time. And Earth is not a typical species. The Admiral stood and activated her own display, showing technical specifications that made the alien delegates lean forward in shock. "While you've been ignoring us, we've developed our own FTL technology, established colonies in 12 star systems, and created weapons specifically designed to combat the Scourge." Images appeared showing Earth's neural disruptor technology, devices capable of severing the quantum links between Scourge units and their hive mind. "How did you develop this?" demanded the insectoid delegate. "Such technology requires understanding of silicon quantum bonds that even our scientists haven't mastered." Dr. Helen Rivera, head of the Neural Disruptor Project, smiled slightly. "We pursued different research paths than your species. Without your guidance, we explored areas you might have dismissed as unpromising." Ambassador Krex Vorel conferred quietly with his colleagues before responding. "Many council members will protest. They will call it dangerous to provide advanced species knowledge to primitives," suggested President Rodriguez. "Perhaps they should consider whether their prejudice is worth the extinction of their civilizations." The weight of the moment hung in the air. Everyone present understood this was a pivotal shift in the relationship between Earth and the galactic community. Finally, Krex Vorel nodded. "I am authorized to accept these terms provisionally, pending Emergency Council ratification. Given the circumstances, I believe they will approve." "Excellent," said President Rodriguez, rising to her feet. "Admiral Martinez will coordinate with your military leadership. We can deploy our first defensive units within 1 week." As the meeting concluded, William Jenkins approached the Arcturian ambassador in the hallway. "I'm curious, Ambassador. Was it difficult for you to come ask for our help, knowing how your father dismissed us?" Krex Vorel stared at Jenkins with all 4 eyes. "More difficult than you can imagine, but survival outweighs pride." Jenkins nodded. "A lesson worth learning, wouldn't you say?" Back in the secure command center, Earth's leadership didn't celebrate their diplomatic victory. Instead, they immediately began preparation for war. "Deploy the 7th Fleet to the Rigel sector," ordered Admiral Martinez, "and inform all research stations to begin mass production of neural disruptors." President Rodriguez watched the activity with somber eyes. "We've wanted recognition for decades. I just wish it hadn't come as the galaxy burns." "Sometimes respect only comes through necessity," replied Foreign Secretary Adams. "At least now they'll see what humanity is truly capable of." Outside, crowds gathered as news spread about Earth's new role in galactic affairs. The planet that had been deemed too primitive was now the Council's last, best hope. The combined fleet launched from Earth orbit in January 2146. Humans named the mission Operation Prometheus, after the mythological figure who gave fire to humanity against the gods' wishes. Many found the name fitting, as Earth was about to share its technological fire with a council that had once looked down on them. Commander Carlos Mendez stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, Earth's flagship. Through the viewport, he watched council vessels moving alongside human ships. The alien craft were larger and more ornate, but the sleek, functional design of Earth's ships reflected a different philosophy. Status report. Carlos ordered as they prepared for the quantum jump. All systems optimal, replied Lieutenant Emma Wright. Neural disruptor arrays at full capacity. The council ships are signaling they're ready to follow our jump. Carlos nodded. Begin countdown. This was humanity's moment to prove itself. The fleet's first target was Proxima Centauri, where Scourge forces had begun establishing a foothold. The quantum drives engage, folding space around the ships. In an instant, the massive fleet disappeared from Earth's vicinity and emerged at the edge of the Proxima system. The scene that greeted them was grim. Crystalline Scourge vessels surrounded the third planet, draining its resources. The once green world already showed gray patches visible from orbit. Council ships are falling into defensive formation, reported Emma. They're awaiting our signal. Carlos took a deep breath. Deploy neural disruptors. Target the command vessels first. Earth scientists had determined that while all Scourge units shared consciousness, larger ships contained specialized communication nodes. Disrupt those, and the smaller units would become disorganized. The human ships moved forward, positioning themselves at strategic points around the Scourge fleet. The council vessels remained behind, their commanders watching with a mixture of hope and skepticism. Disruptors active in 3, 2, 1. Firing. Emma announced. Invisible waves of energy pulsed from the human ships. To the naked eye, nothing seemed to happen. Then, almost immediately, the Scourge vessels began to move erratically. Some drifted aimlessly. Others collided with each other. It's working, shouted Science Officer Alex Park. We're breaking their hive connection. On the council flagship, Creevil, a veteran admiral from a reptilian species, watched in stunned silence. His tactical officer turned to him with all 3 eye stalks extended in shock. The human weapons are severing the Scourge quantum bonds, the officer reported. I've never seen anything like it. Signal all ships, ordered Creevil. Move in and target the disoriented vessels. The council ships surged forward, their energy weapons suddenly effective against the confused Scourge units. Human fighters launched from carrier ships, targeting the smaller crystal vessels with precision strikes. On the surface of the planet, specialized human ground teams led by Major Sophia Green deployed to rescue surviving colonists. They wore armor equipped with miniaturized neural disruptors, allowing them to move through Scourge-controlled areas safely. The survivors are mostly in the underground facilities, Sophia reported over the comm. We've cleared paths to extraction points. Within 6 hours, the combined forces had eliminated the Scourge presence in the Proxima system. The council commanders could barely hide their amazement. Admiral Creevil requested permission to board the Defender. When he arrived on the bridge, he performed a formal salute to Commander Mendez. In 40 cycles of military service, I have never witnessed such an effective first engagement, the Admiral admitted. My government questioned arming humans with our knowledge. Now I question why we didn't learn from you sooner. Carlos accepted the compliment with a nod. This is only the beginning. We have many more systems to liberate. As the fleet prepared to jump to their next target, news of their victory spread throughout Council space. Species that had been preparing for extinction suddenly found hope in the most unexpected place, the humans they had ignored for decades. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Bennett's team worked continuously to improve the neural disruptor technology based on battle data. Each engagement makes our systems more effective, she explained to President Rodriguez during a briefing. The Scourge adapts, but we adapt faster. Operation Prometheus had begun with a decisive victory. The galaxy was noticing. The final Scourge mothership exploded in a brilliant flash of light above the skies of Ventress Prime. On the bridge of the UES Defender, Commander Carlos Mendez watched silently as fragments of crystalline material scattered across space. After 13 months of brutal fighting across 27 star systems, the threat had been contained. "Send the confirmation to Earth," Carlos ordered. "Operation Prometheus is complete." Throughout Council space, celebrations erupted as news spread. Species that had faced extinction now looked toward recovery. And everywhere, one name was spoken with newfound respect: Earth. Vice Admiral Nicole Parker adjusted her formal uniform as she prepared to enter the Grand Council chamber for the first time. After a distinguished command during the war, she had been selected as humanity's representative to the Galactic Council. "Ready?" asked her aide, Daniel Kelly. Nicole nodded. "As ready as anyone can be to make history." The massive doors swung open. Inside, representatives from over 50 species rose to their feet, a sign of respect previously unimaginable. Nicole walked confidently to the newly installed human seat, prominently positioned among the senior council members. High Counselor Vexnor, an elderly Arctuvian, struck the ceremonial chime to begin the victory conference. "Today marks a new era for our galactic community," he announced. "We gather to formally recognize the end of the Scourge War and to honor those whose courage preserved our civilization." Nicole noticed Ambassador Krex Vorel sitting stiffly in the Arctuvian section. How different he looked now, the arrogance replaced by a complex mix of gratitude and discomfort. "First," continued Vexnor, "we must acknowledge a great wrong. Before me stands the formal decree of apology to Earth and humanity." A hush fell over the chamber. This was unprecedented in Council history. "For too long, we judged species by their age rather than their potential," Vexnor read. "In dismissing humanity as primitive, we failed to recognize the unique adaptive intelligence that would ultimately save us all." Ambassador Krex Vorel approached the central platform. The son of the very diplomat who had dismissed Earth now faced Nicole directly. "On behalf of the Arctuvian Confederation, and as representative of my father's lineage, I formally apologize for our error in judgment." His voice carried through the chamber. Humanity proved itself not through centuries of development, but through innovation born of necessity. Nicole accepted the ceremonial scroll with dignity. "Earth acknowledges your apology and looks forward to a new relationship based on mutual respect." The chamber erupted in approving sounds from dozens of different species. Later that evening, at the diplomatic reception, Nicole found herself speaking with scientists and military leaders from across the galaxy. "Your neural disruptor technology saved billions of lives," said Professor Zintera, a luminous being from a gas giant system. "But I'm most fascinated by how you developed it without access to our scientific archives." Nicole smiled. "When you have to find your own path, you sometimes discover routes others missed." Across the room, President Rodriguez was engaged in deep conversation with the Council's founding species. Earth's leader had traveled personally to sign the new Galactic Charter, one that gave humanity equal standing and recognized Earth's unique contributions. In the following weeks, human experts began sharing knowledge with Council scientists, while Earth received the promised access to the vast Council archives. Trade routes opened between Earth colonies and Council worlds, bringing new resources and opportunities to both. On Mars colony, Jack Rivera watched his daughter graduate from the newly established Galactic Academy. Young humans now studied alongside aliens, preparing for careers that spanned the stars. "Did you ever think you'd see this day?" asked his wife, Linda. Jack shook his head. "When I was building those first domes, I never imagined our children would be citizens of the galaxy." In her office on Earth, Admiral Martinez reviewed reports of human ships exploring beyond Council space. Humanity's drive to expand hadn't diminished with their new status. "We've come so far," she remarked to her aide. "From being dismissed as primitives to helping shape the future of galactic civilization." The aide smiled. "All because they ignored us until they needed us." Martinez looked out her window at the stars. And now they'll never forget us again. Throughout known space, a new saying began to circulate among council species. If you want tradition, ask the Arctuvians. If you want innovation, ask the humans. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity's star was rising.